Hey, in this video we are going to do a quick overview of HTML tags. So in the last video we went over how to make a blank web page. Now we're going to talk about all the different tags that you can put inside the body. Most of these tags are going to be of the style where they open and they close, and whatever goes in the middle of the tag is what goes out to the page. There'll be a couple self-closing tags. We'll go over those. Okay. So we have H tags. H stands for header. We went over these a little bit in the last video. The first one is the largest, H1 through H6. H6 would be the smallest, so we're looking at H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. You don't have to use them all, and you can use You can use like more than one H1 tag on a page nowadays, but it would have to be like in a different article section, a different article or a different section. Each one has its own kind of outline, a hierarchy of H1 through 6. We'll get more into that. Okay, paragraph tag for web pages is kind of regular body text. It generally goes inside a P tag for paragraph. A span tag is a lot like a P tag. It looks just like it. Span tags can go inside of P tags. You would do that if you wanted to style it differently, for example. You know, if you wanted to make a bit of text yellow or something like that, you could put it in a span inside a P. BR stands for break, as in line break. We're not really supposed to use BR tags now because they're not semantic. Stuff that styles a page is generally supposed to go in the style sheet as opposed to in the markup in the HTML. But you'll see BR tags, and if you're in a hurry or if you're feeling lazy, you should know what they are as well. So it's a self-closing tag, and each time you use it, it is one line break. So in this case, we have one line break in between P's, and P's generally have a little bit of spacing around them by default. Okay. UL stands for unordered list. That's a bullet list in HTML. The ULs the bullet lists are wrapped in UL tags, and then inside the UL tags you have LI tags. That stands for list item, and each LI is one of the bullets. Similarly, you have OL, which stands for ordered list. Ordered lists are just numbered or something like that, as opposed to unordered lists, which just have bullets or something like that. Using styles, you can make these Roman numerals, all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, so links, you're used to links just from surfing the web. You click it, it takes you somewhere else. Those are made by doing A tags. The A stands for anchor, as in anchor link. The href is where it goes, the URL, and then what's here is what the text that actually goes out onto the page. You'll also see A tags with target blank, and that means when you click it, it's going to open up in a new tab, so the old tab is still there. I was going to grab an image, but I didn't do it, so I'm just going to do it real quick. Okay, so image tags, you do like this, img, src. Src stands for source. And so there's our little image. So the source is the path to the image. So if this were in a directory on my desktop called images, I would do like images/badge, that kind of thing. There's another way to do images using background images, and we'll get into that when we do CSS. Okay, form tags. This is the old school forms before HTML5. HTML5 forms are awesome, but they're not supported in Internet Explorer 9 and less. So here we're going to talk about regular forms. We'll get into HTML forms later. All forms are wrapped in a form tag, and then inside the form tag is the good stuff. Labels are these kind of guys. They don't exactly contribute to the functionality of the form, but they help us understand what element is which. Input tags. There are quite a few different types of input tags. For this example, we're going to talk about input type text and input type submit. Input type text is a regular text input. Let's talk about selects real quick. Selects are drop downs like this. You wrap a select in a select tag, and then all the different items in the drop down are option tags. This is what the option tag looks like to the user, and then this is what it looks like to the browser. So you need to have these values in there, even though they don't go right out to the page. When you process the form on the back end, this is the value it uses for the drop down. And then input type select is like this, and the value is what goes out onto the page. Okay, let's talk about another type of input. The password. Input type password looks just like input type text, but when you type in it, you can't see the value. It's not necessarily secure by default just because you can't see it. It only stops people from looking over somebody's shoulder and getting their password. We'll talk about how to make forms secure on the back end in another video. Another form element is a radio button. These are these guys that you can only click one of them, and they have the little circle buttons. The browser knows they're tied together, so only one can be selected in the set by having the same name in each one. And then the value is what gets processed on the back end. This is the word that goes out on the screen. Usually we would use labels and CSS and stuff, but for this little example, since we're not using style sheets, I just cheated and used a BR. Similar to the radio button, we have checkboxes. Checkboxes are those ones where you can select more than one, and they have these little squares. It's just like the radio button, except it has it's an input type checkbox, and you still want to tie together, tie each set together with the same name value, name attribute. Okay. So when you want to make text bold, you want to use a strong tag like this. The old way was to use a B tag, which stood for bold, but don't do that. I'm just showing you it so you know what it is when you run across it. Similarly, when you want to italic text, use the EM. It stands for emphasis. The old way was to use an I tag, which stands for italic. Okay, let's talk about div tags real quick. Div stands for division. If we have this content, H1, H2P, H2P, really what we would want to do is to add some divisions there. On the page it would look just the same, but here what we've done is we've added two div tags, and we've used these IDs. So divs are obviously not visible on the page, at least by default. We can add styles to them. Either are IDs. IDs are for the browser. It's a little hook. We can use styles or JavaScript on that. All this does is it says this is one section, this is another section. We've just divided up the content. And you know, we could say div ID my car, make this whole thing red, or make it a little bit larger text or something like that. The old school way was to only use divs, but now we actually have all kinds of nice options for using these structural tags. Okay, so this is actually a blank web page, but what it is all these new HTML, not even new anymore, all these HTML5 tags that you can use to delineate different parts of your web page. So you can now use header tags for the top. That would be stuff like your logo and your initial nav. Nav tags are now wrapped in this. Note that this isn't a nav tag on its own. You would probably use like a UL tag here or something like that. But this is just something that you would wrap that UL in. We also have footers, like headers. Footers are down at the bottom for like legal copyright notices and stuff like that, maybe another nav. If you have content in your web page, you could wrap it in an article, and then you can have sections inside your article and asides inside your sections. You can also have figures. You could put an image tag inside your figure, for example. So really what we end up having in HTML5 is sort of a document outline like this. And when you have like more than one article, you can have more than one H1, that kind of deal. You can have like an H1 tag here, and another H1 tag here. In the old days, you were only supposed to use one H1 tag per document. Now you can have more than one if they're in different articles or different sections. There are quite a few other HTML tags. You can look them up on Mozilla's documentation, for example. But a lot of these other ones you'll only see every once in a while. They're not super important. Of course, there's a lot more to learn, but this is a good start. So I'd practice making some stuff with these tags, and we'll get more into this stuff in future videos.